The fragility of life can be seen in various scenarios, and one such is the case of Miles Morales, who was bitten by a radioactive spider, which turned his life around. In this phase of his life, the multiverse unfolds before him, introducing him to a remarkable team of spider people, each with unique abilities and responsibilities to safeguard existence. But as a new threat emerges, our young hero faces a defining moment, challenging him to rethink the very essence of heroism. The movie begins in New York, Gwen's dimension, where Gwen is drumming for a band she recently joined. While playing, she recollects her past life. Lost in her thoughts, Gwen doesn't notice when her band stops playing, arousing their suspicion. They inquire about her well-being, and though she assures them all is fine, their persistent questioning leads her to quit. On a bus ride, Gwen remembers her late friend Peter, who transformed into a beast after consuming a chemical in an attempt to be special. Unaware that the creature she attacked was Peter, she witnessed his transformation back to human form moments before his demise. Her father, a police captain, arrives at the scene, believing Spider-Woman to be responsible for Peter's death, and tries to apprehend her, but she escapes. Back home, Gwen tells her father about quitting the band and tries to dissuade him from pursuing the Spider-Woman. However, upon receiving information about the Vulture, a super creature, he rushes off while Gwen transforms into her Spider-Woman persona and heads to confront the Vulture. Gwen's father instructs the officers to watch out for the Spider-Woman just as she arrives and immobilizes them before entering the fight with the Vulture. The Vulture reveals he was transported from another dimension through a mysterious portal. Amid the battle, the Vulture gains the upper hand, but suddenly, a Spider-Man named Miguel O'Hara appears from another dimension. Miguel rescues Gwen, and together they try to subdue the Vulture. While chasing the Vulture, Miguel explains the trouble Gwen and her cliques cause with the Kingpin Collider, leaving holes unclosed and allowing creatures like the Vulture to enter the wrong dimension. Miguel's mission is to restore everyone to their rightful dimensions before time and space collapse. Both struggling to capture the Vulture, Miguel calls for backup, and another Spider-Woman arrives. Together, they manage to apprehend the Vulture without harming any civilians. Gwen, exhausted, remains at the scene, and her father attempts to arrest her for Peter's death, disregarding her pleas and even seeing her face. The other Spider-Woman intervenes, allowing Miguel to give Gwen the watch to stay in their dimension, insisting they can't abandon her. In a moment of decision, Gwen follows them, leaving with the two spider heroes. In another dimension, Brooklyn's Earth 1610, Miles Morales, the Spider-Man of his universe, faces a challenge while his parents await him at the school counselor's office. Miles is trying to stop the Spot, a superhuman who can create holes on any surface, from burgling a supermarket. As they confront each other, the Spot claims to be from Miles' past, 1 year ago. Before Miles can respond, a message from his dad appears on his phone, asking about his whereabouts. Miles chases Spot through the streets while responding to his parents' messages about his whereabouts. After a few minutes, he immobilizes the Spot with his spiderwebs and returns to his room. He quickly gets ready for the meeting with the school counselor and asks his friend to call the police to arrest Spot, but his friend refuses. Despite being a little late, Miles joins his parents in discussing with the counselor. The counselor praises his excellent academic performance and then expresses his desire to attend a tertiary institution in New Jersey. His parents objected, concerned about the distance from their city and not wanting him to leave. Miles pleads with them to allow him to pursue his dream. During the conversation, Miles senses that the Spot has escaped and rushes out of the office, urging his parents to continue talking. A few minutes later, Miles' father, a lieutenant, receives a call requiring his attention at work, leaving his wife alone. Miles quickly changes into his Spider-Man suit at his hostel and chases after the Spot. As his father steps out of the school building to enter his car, Spider-Man and the Spot crash into it and run away, with Miles giving chase. The fight between Spot and Miles takes them into a building where Spot reveals that he is Miles' nemesis. Spot explains that while working at Alchemax, a test on a collider brought a spider from another dimension, Dimension 42, which bit Miles and turned him into Spider-Man. Spot claims that Miles inadvertently created him when the collider particles splashed on his body, leading to him becoming the Spot and losing everything he had. He vows to make Miles regret his actions by destroying everything he loves. As Spot comes rushing angrily towards Miles to attack him, he unexpectedly kicks himself in the butt and finds himself within his own body. To his astonishment, he realizes that by putting his head through the holes in his body, he can travel to various dimensions, including the Lego world. While exploring one of these dimensions, a mysterious force pulls him back into the dimension he comes from, causing him to exit his own body. This time, he finds himself devoid of spots. Meanwhile, in the Lego dimension Spot appears in, the Spider-Man at the dimension alerts Miguel of the presence of an anomaly. The following scene, Miles' parents host a small party at their house to celebrate Jeff's promotion to captain. Miles' mother searches for him but can't find him anywhere. Meanwhile, Miles buys 2 cakes at the cake shop. At the party, Jeff makes a speech appreciating his wife, remembering his brother Aaron, and about to call on Miles to appreciate him, but he's absent. Miles continues to battle villains on his way home until he finally reaches his house with the cakes. He quickly changes into another outfit and presents the cakes to his angry parents, who scold him for missing his father's speech. They discover the cake message is destroyed and reprimand him for his recent behavior, demanding an explanation. However, Miles can't find the courage to tell them he is Spider-Man, leading to a 2-month grounding by his father. Angry, Miles retreats to his room and lies on his bed with headphones on, unaware of his surroundings. Everything in his room suddenly starts floating, and Gwen emerges from a portal. Surprised by her presence, Miles expresses his shock. Gwen urges him to follow her outside, and though he knows he's grounded, he can't resist the temptation and follows her. As he exits through the window, his mother enters his room to inform him that his father is willing to listen to him, but the room is empty. As they swing and fly through the city, Gwen shares with Miles about her new society, which includes the best spider people. She mentions Jess, the other Spider-Woman, who is her tutor and teaches her a lot. Gwen also talks about Miguel, describing him as a good ninja vampire Spider-Man. Curious, Miles asks what they are all doing, and Gwen explains that they are working to prevent the multiverse from collapsing. Gwen reveals she would have come earlier, but they have strict limitations on where she can go. Suddenly, Miles loses sight of Gwen. Meanwhile, Gwen comes to Miles' dimension to catch Spot. She places a recorder on the house where Spot resides. Eventually, they meet again and head to where Miles calls his thinking spot. There, he confides in Gwen about his desire to reveal his identity as Spider-Man to his parents. However, Gwen advises him against it, and he agrees with her decision. After spending some time at his thinking spot, Miles takes Gwen to his parents' party. Gwen shows him the watch that prevents her from glitching in another dimension. Excited, Miles expresses his desire to join the Spider People Society, highlighting his superpowers. Gwen explains that it's hard to get in. Miles introduces Gwen to his parents, and they engage in conversation. Later, Gwen excuses herself and departs. After her departure, Miles feels remorseful. His mother notices his displeasure and cheers him up by offering him the chance to go anywhere he wants, promising that he'll return home safe and sound. Miles eagerly promises and happily follows Gwen on her journey. Gwen retrieves the recorder from the building and heads to Spot's room, but finds he's already gone. Miles turns invisible and follows her as she analyzes the recorder's replay. She deduces that Spot wants more Spots and is heading to a full-size collider. Gwen becomes angry at his escape, and Jess appears, questioning her about Spot's whereabouts. Gwen tries to cover up her mistake, but Jess already knows she missed Spot. Jess orders their human tracker to find him and confronts Gwen about visiting her friend. Gwen promises not to see him again, and the human tracker shares concerning information that Spot can jump into any dimension he wants, posing a threat to the canon. Jess becomes angry, and Gwen pleads not to tell Miguel as he might kick her out. After some time, the human tracker locates Spot in Mombasa. Jess gives Gwen an hour to rectify her mistake and leaves. Gwen heads to the dimension through a portal while Miles stays invisible, listening to their conversation. He realizes Spot plans to gain more power by creating more holes. After careful consideration, Miles decides to follow Gwen through the portal to Mombasa. Gwen tries to stop Spot, but he knocks her off. Miles appears and attempts to help her, but he experiences a glitch, causing him to lose his grip. Another Spider-Man from the dimension, Paviter, assists them. Spot overpowers them and enters the Alchemex building, creating a barrier to keep them away. They seek help from one of the scientists, but the barrier can only be turned off after the collider sequence completes. Miles tries to use his new powers, but fails. The Spot continues with his dangerous mission. At that moment, another Spider-Man named Hobie joins them. Hobie successfully removes the barrier, surprising Miles. They attempt to stop Spot from activating the collider, but fail to prevent him from entering it. Spot disappears. Suddenly, Miles has a vision of the moment Spot transforms due to the chemical splash, and he witnesses his father being killed as he tries to save a child when a building is crumbling. The collider's activation weakens the building, causing it to crumble. The Spider People rescue everyone except for a young girl. The police captain of the dimension, Captain Singh, rushes to save her, putting both of them in danger. Despite Gwen's attempt to stop him, Miles rescues them both, disrupting the canon event. Jess arrives with other spider people and she orders them to secure the area and clear civilians to contain the hole caused by the collider eruption. She already knows Miles and informs them that Miguel expects them at HQ. They head there, and upon entering, Miles is surprised by the sight of the place filled with various spider creatures. Jess gives him a watch to stop the glitches as he glitches again. They walk past cages containing abnormal creations to be returned to their dimensions. Gwen introduces Miles to Miguel on entering his space. Upset about his action, he accuses Miles of creating another hole in the multiverse, and Gwen defends him. Peter, another Spider-Man, and Miles' tutor enters with his baby at that moment, surprising Miles. After some minutes, Miguel explains that Miles disrupted a canon event by altering Captain Sing's death, causing Paviter's dimension to unravel. Miguel shows how all Spider People's lives are interwoven in the Spider-Verse, and breaking canon by saving captains could lead to losing everything. Miles suddenly remembers his dad's upcoming promotion to captain and the vision he had of his dad trying to save a child but getting killed by Spot. He urgently asks when it will happen, and Miguel replies it will be in 2 days when he's sworn in. Miles insists they send him home, but Miguel refuses, fearing it could disrupt another canon event and lead to world destruction. Frustrated, Miles demands to go home, but Miguel traps him inside a cage. Out of anger, he breaks free and runs out of the room. All the spider people tried to capture him, but he proved more reckless than them. After some minutes of chasing, only Miguel remains on Miles' heel. Miguel keeps chasing him, saying he shouldn't be a Spider-Man as the spider that bites him shouldn't have and that he's an anomaly wherever he goes. Unfazed, Miles sends an electric shock into Miguel's chest, disabling him and affirming that he's going home. Saying goodbye to Gwen, Miles returns to the Spider People building, unaware that Miguel is following him. In the system room, he turns invisible to prevent the computer girl from seeing him. He operates the computer, initializing the going home machine. The computer girl tries to deactivate it, but Miles succeeds in initializing the program and enters the machine that will transport him to his dimension. However, Miguel arrives just in time. He orders the computer girl to deactivate the program while he tries to open the machine. But the computer girl, being Miles' friend, defies his order, allowing Miles to zip off to his Earth 1610. After Miles escapes, Miguel becomes upset and sends Gwen home for letting him escape and for all her mistakes. He then orders Jess and another Spider-Man, Ben, to follow him as he transports to Miles' dimension. Miles and Gwen are thrown back into their respective dimensions in the following scenes. Gwen tries to access the Spider-Verse again through her watch but is denied entry. She sneaks back home, trying not to wake her sleeping dad. However, he wakes up, and they have a heartfelt conversation. Gwen reveals she's trying to be good and can't bear to lose another friend. Her father tells her he has to quit work, meaning he won't be a captain. Gwen is happy that her father escaped death, and he gives her a package from Hobie containing a device to traverse dimensions. Back home, Miles tries to tell his mom about being a Spider-Man, but she doesn't believe him. As he follows her, trying to convince her, he glitches and realizes he's not in his dimension. He recollects that the spider that bit him wasn't from his dimension, and the Spider-Verse machine sent him to Earth 42. At that moment, a man who looks like Uncle Aaron enters. Glad to see him, Miles follows him to the rooftop. On the rooftop, he finds a poster mourning his father's death, leaving him scared and unsure of his surroundings. In Miles' dimension, Gwen discovers he's in the wrong dimension and overhears his parents discussing giving him his freedom. She enters their home, promising to return their son safely before leaving. On Earth 42, the man who resembles Uncle Aaron ties Miles to a post, and despite Miles' pleas, he refuses to set him free and tells him he's not the Prowler. Suddenly, the real Prowler arrives, revealing himself as Miles' doppelganger. At Miles' home, his parents watch Gwen leave through the window. Spot arrives shortly after. Peter returns to his dimension and Gwen recruits him to her new spider team, which includes Hobie, the computer girl, and some other colleagues. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.